Okay, good morning again, everyone. So welcome to Ignite and to session 11. Today is follow up with leads. And today we will learn to convert possible business into probable business, right? So if we take a look at lead follow-up on this slide. Basically, what we are going to be going over today is a few items. One is spark your career. 2, embrace your job. 3, connect with your market. 4, define your value. 5 is generate your leads. 6, grow your database. 7, capture leads with open houses. 8, capture leads with social media. 9, capture more leads. 10, very important, is keep every lead. 11, which we're doing today, is follow up with leads. 12 is strengthen relationships. 13, qualify potential buyers and sellers. 14 is win the buyer. 15 is win the seller. 16, work with buyers and sellers. 17, make and receive offers. 18, negotiate offers. 19, get to the close. And 20 is plan your future. So today we are going to follow up with leads. So now, last week we discussed lead follow-up, communication with the purpose of opening the door to a two-way communication. So that was last week. Today, we are talking about what happens next. Once you get a response from a lead, your goal is to convert that lead to an appointment, right? So after a lead generation, lead conversion is the most business critical activity that you will do. If you don't have any appointments, then lead conversion is not going to happen, right? You won't have any buyer or seller agreements. Without agreements, you cannot have any sales contracts. So by the end of today, hopefully you will be equipped to, 1, apply the lead conversion model, develop your system for capturing, cultivating, converting, and closing leads, and apply proven methods to increase your conversion rate over time. Okay? So to start thinking about what you will learn today, let's consider what questions you might have about lead conversion and what you'd like to know about lead conversion. Right? So as we go through the content today, listen to what you hear, and if your questions are being answered. If your questions are not being answered, we can discuss them at the end of today's session. Okay, so lead conversion is an essential part of the lead. Just hold 1 minute, guys. I'm having a techie effort here. All right, lead conversion is an essential part of the lead follow-up process. And often people assume that lead generation and lead conversion are the same. And that's not the case, right? At its core, lead generation is when you turn activities, that is prospecting and marketing, into leads. Lead conversion happens after the lead is captured and is part of lead follow-up. It is unique because these are the activities that turn your leads into appointments with the end goal of it becoming a transaction, right? So converting leads must match the effort you give, right, to generating them. Very important. So let me ask you all, why do you think that both activities, lead generation and lead conversion deserve the same amount of time spent. Anyone want to chime in on that? Why would you think that both deserve the same amount of time? Okay, so I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I think, right? First of all, you need to lead generate every day, right? That is really what the one thing you should be doing every single day is lead generating. And you can spend all your time lead generating, but if you don't follow up on those leads that you're generating, you just wasted all your time. You just wasted all that time. So yes, eventually, as you become a seasoned agent and you are in this business for many, many years, most of your time is going to be on the follow-up and not the generating. All right. So right now, it should be equal time. Equal time. Okay. So if you all have your guide with you, and if you don't, it's okay. But if you do have your participant guide with you, turn to the lead conversion process page. And I'm not sure exactly what page that is because I don't have it in front of me. Now, converting a lead to an appointment is a process that can happen quickly. Although in some cases, it can happen slowly. Now, Shift, and hopefully you all have read Shift, and if not, you should. But Shift tells us that consistently getting every possible appointment from the leads you generate isn't complicated. Right? Getting the lead is not complicated, but it does require preparation, practice, and purposeful action. Right? So this starts at the top of the model with capture. You must capture correct information and enough information to be able to contact that person, right? Then you move on to connecting. Building a connection, gaining information, and building trust, which is very important, is building that trust. And finally, it ends in the closing for an appointment. Without the appointment, conversion hasn't happened yet. All right. So when the conversion step does not result in an appointment, if it doesn't result in an appointment, what do you suppose should happen next? Anyone like to answer that? Okay, it's Monday. Everybody is very quiet, and that's okay. I shall give you the answer. So if it does not result in an immediate appointment, what you should do is you need to continue to cultivate the lead as part of your regular lead follow-up program until they are ready to convert to an appointment, right? A lot of agents, what's the mistake that they make? They contact a lead that first time, and if they're not interested in that particular listing that they have, or any other listing for that matter, or calling the seller for that first time, and if no, they're not ready to list a house now, what happens? Most agents, they never contact them anymore. They don't put them on a smart plan, right? And you don't want to be one of those agents. Cultivating is a big part of this business. You always have to have future business. And without cultivating, you won't have future business, and you'll be out of this business before you know it. So it's extremely important to stay in touch with every one of your leads, right? So after lead generation, lead conversion is the most critical activity that you must master, right? It is where the possible business that comes from lead generating activities can turn into probable business, right? And what is the ultimate goal? For it to convert to profitable business, right? So converting the lead to an appointment has so much more importance because it is how you have a chance at earning income, right? So your job, and we do have a job, by the way, real estate is a business, but your job is to lead generate and to lead follow-up. That is your only job that we have, all right? Converting appointments to business is also a key to economic success. And you'll learn more about converting the appointment to business starting on day 14 of Ignite. But until then, we will focus on the how, now that you know the why. All right, so today we're going to focus on the how. Anyone have any ahas that they'd like to share so far? Okay. Does anyone know why we asked to share ahas? We share ahas because they are powerful and meaningful insights that come from reflection on the experience that we're having, right? So when we share them out loud, we further straighten the power of that aha, and we help our fellow workers, our fellow participants to have powerful ahas as well, right? So that's the only reason why we ask for your ahas every now and then. And if you do have one, please share it with the group. Okay, so let's move on to today's agenda. Now, in this section, we will get into the specific steps on the lead conversion model for converting leads to appointments. Now, this model will help provide structure and lay the groundwork for your future accomplishments. So if you still have the guide in front of you, turn to the lead conversion process capture page in your guide. Now, at its simplest, capturing is collecting the minimum amount of valid contact information for that potential buyer or seller, right? Now, this should include their names and a way to get a hold of them, obviously, such as their email and their phone number. And most likely this will occur when you are lead generating. So let me ask a few of you, what are some, let's hear some ways of capturing leads. What are some ways that some of you are capturing your leads right now? No one? No one's capturing any leads?
Cassie said in the chat, Facebook ads.
What is that, hon?
In the chat, Cassie Mott said Facebook ads.
Yes, Facebook ads, right? Running campaigns, social media campaigns in today's world is the way to go, in my opinion. Any type of social media campaign that you can run. Also, another way to capturing leads is from holding an open house, right? Holding an open house, having that lead capture form for your guests to sign in, right? Whether they're your own listings or if you're holding an open house for another agent in the market centers. It doesn't have to be just your market center. It could be any of our market centers. Reach out to agents, ask the host. What's another way? Well, obviously the mailers, when you have a listing, you want to send out just listed, even just sold when you sell, right? Flyers, for sale signs. That's another way of capturing leads, obviously by putting a for sale sign in front of a listing. And obviously there's many, many more today, right, that you can use to capture leads. But truthfully, I still believe that in today's day and age, the best way is through social media platforms, right? Mailing, physical mailings, they're fine too. But we're finding that obviously social media is where you're getting the most bang for your buck, All right. So when you are capturing, it is important to know what you are going to say, right? Before starting the conversation, right? You need to know what you're going to say before starting that conversation. In your guide, by the way, there are some conversation frameworks to ask for. So you can take a look at that on your own time. But let's go over a few right now. Like, what are some of the things that you can say to the lead, right? Number one would be, if I need to contact you, what would that number be? Right? That's a way to get their telephone number. If I found exactly what you were looking for, how would I contact you? Another way for you to get their telephone number, or if they prefer you to email. If I found the information you are wanting, how would I get it to you? So these are 3 ways to capture their information. These are 3 things that you should be saying. Now, for this first step of capture, have a system in place. Capture all of your leads in your database, every single one, and continue to cultivate the relationship using touch campaigns, which are smart plans, right? Very important to keep every single lead in contact with you. Now, all leads may not be ready for an appointment right now, right? So your goal then is to gain mind share and continue to stay in close touch. So when they are ready, they think about you, right? When they're ready, they're going to think about you. If you're constantly keeping in touch with your leads, they won't forget you. Okay? So let's take a few minutes to work on an activity that will help make sure that you have a system in place for your capture, right? And I'm just going to ask you a few questions. You can just jot these down now. And these are the questions that you need to be asking yourself, right? And you can answer these later on, all right? But just write down these questions now. So 1, ask yourself, how are you currently capturing leads? How are you currently capturing leads? 2, what information are you collecting? 3, what are your current lead categories, your tags? So as you receive a lead, you can categorize them: buyers, sellers, landlords, tenants. You could tag them, right? Are they a hot lead, a warm lead, cold, right? So you can tag, you create any tag you'd like for your leads. And what can you do? This is the best question to ask yourself today. What can you do to improve your current capture system? Right? What can you do to improve your current capture system? The second step is connect. Connecting is about laying the foundation for a working relationship. What is important during this step is to listen. Listen to what they're saying. Ask good questions. Offer solutions. And keep the focus of the conversation on them. All right. The goal of communication, in addition to building the relationship, is to determine what their urgency is, right? You have to determine the urgency and give enough information to know how you need to prioritize the lead that you just received, and help you know what touch campaign you can use as a follow-up plan. Right? So ask the appropriate questions. Let them do all the talking and listen. All right. As you communicate and connect with your leads, keep the best practices in mind. All right, I want you to keep these best practices in mind. You have to embed your value proposition into the conversation, right? To position yourself as the local expert. You have to let them see that. They need to see the value they will have in working with you, right? Build and have confidence through knowing what you are going to say. The best way to do that is to role play. Constantly role play. Role play with your current coworkers, in front of a mirror for that matter, your family members. Practice conversations and know your market data, which is extremely, extremely important. You must know the market in your area. So if you would like to be an expert in any given area, you need to know the market. And that should be part of your daily 10-4, right? As agents, all of you should be doing your daily 10-4 every single day you work real estate. And that daily 10-4 consists of what? It consists of adding 10 people to your database every day you work real estate. And if you are completing the right tasks, you will have 10 people to add to that database because you're lead generating, right? You need to call 10 people from that database every day that you work real estate. I don't care what your conversation is. You pick up that phone and you call 10 people from your database. You need to do what? How would you be able to learn the market? How do you learn the market? Well, get on that MLS every day that you work real estate and check out 10 listings. You don't have to physically go and view the listing. Just get on the MLS every day. See what was just listed. See what was just sold, right? You have to become familiar on what's on the market. And then the last part of that daily 10-4 is to send out a piece of mail, either physically or an email to 10 people from your database. Okay? So that's your daily 10-4. Going back to the best practices, like I said, you need to embed your value proposition. You need to constantly role play and practice your conversation so you know what to say to your leads. And the third thing is to use backward design when thinking about your communication. So think about the intended outcome before you start the conversation. Use questions to help lead them towards the appointment. All right, so you're going to use, I call that backwards design. All right, so think about the intended outcome and ask the right questions. Okay. So if you'd like, turn to the 6 connection questions page in your guide. Now, connecting is more than just small talk, right? Your communication should seek to answer 6 basic questions. Would anyone like to read what the 6 basic questions are? Anyone want to read those? No one wants to volunteer? All righty then. Number 1, who are they? Number 2, what do they want or need to do? Number 3, where do they want or need to be? Number 4, why do they want or need to do it? Number 5, when do they want or need to do it? Which is very important. And 6, how do they plan to do it? These questions also help whoever you are speaking to open up, right? They're opening up to you. These are the questions that you need to ask. These are the critical questions that you should always ask one of your leads. Now, in your guide, you will have some examples of what those 6 connection questions might look like, right, in conversation. So these may or may not work for your unique business. So take some time to plan out a framework for your conversation that does work for your business. Remember, you can tweak anything to fit what's right for you, right? You need to feel comfortable when you're having these conversations. And make sure that you practice these conversations because it will help the conversation feel more natural, all right? It will help connect with that person. And while you're connecting with that person, you're qualifying them at the same time, right? Let them feel comfortable as well. Okay, so in your guide, you will also find a list of questions that are categorized by buyers and sellers that you can customize and use in your business. And as you go through the connection process and cultivate the relationship, you will learn more about that person and what they are looking to do as you learn what, if they're looking to buy or if they're looking to sell, right? And you can start to use these questions as well in all of your conversations that you have. Very important, be sure to document any conversations that you have and what the outcome of that conversation was in your database, and do that immediately. Don't wait for tomorrow or the next day. Right after you're done with that conversation, with that lead, you want to make notes in your database, right? For that potential buyer or seller. And keeping a strong, well-documented record of communication will help you know how to move the relationship forward, and also to remember what you spoke to, right? What you spoke about when you were speaking to this lead. Many people, they don't keep notes, and then they totally forget the follow-up, right? On what their conversation even was. And that's the worst thing you can do, not remembering what that conversation was about. Okay? You need to keep on doing this to move the relationship forward, right? And you have to also come from contribution in the future. And it will help you assess how to prioritize that lead, right? Does anyone have any questions at all before we move on? Or should we just keep on going? All right, so let's keep on going. If you'd like.
Meralda, I have a quick question. When you say to call 10 people in your database every day,
Yes.
are those, what if you just call people even whether or not they have the inclination to move at the moment? You just calling just to be in touch, saying what you're doing.
Right, even if it's just a call to say happy birthday. Seriously, you need to keep in contact with every single person you have in your database, right? By doing that, they're never going to forget that you're in real estate. Trust me. It's not all about, do you want to buy now? Do you want to sell now, right? You can just
Right.
calling them just to see how they're doing, right? Come from care, come from contribution. You could just be calling people in your sphere just to keep them on top of the market. Tell them about interest rates, where it's heading. There are, you can make, every call that you make is more than likely going to be a different call, right? But every day that you work in real estate, and it could be 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7, all of us work a different amount of days in real estate, but whatever you do, make those 10 calls a day. If you just did your daily 10-4, if you made those 10 calls every day, if you added 10 people to your database every day, if you previewed 10 properties every day, either in person or on the MLS, and learn everything about those listings or sales in your area, and did those 10 mailings, I promise you, you will be in production. You will.
Thank you.
Just did the daily 10-4. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you do have the books in front of you, turn to the lead conversion process, cultivation page in the guide. Now, your goal in using the lead conversion model is to move immediately from capture to connect and to close, right? Capture, connect, and to close. However, you'll find a small percentage of leads, or maybe not small, maybe a little bit more than you want, that won't be ready to convert into an appointment right now, right? They won't be ready. So to keep them in their mind, to keep that mind share, you will use a touch campaign to stay in communication and cultivate that relationship until they are ready for that appointment. Now, in Ignite, you have learned a lot about touch campaigns, right? 19 to connect, 1 to cement, and 36 to convert. You will leverage these to stay in close contact until you get an appointment. As you start to implement your campaigns, you can always pursue creating your own touch campaigns to fit your business leads, right? Right now, use the smart plans that are created for you. Everything is right there in command. But as you start to implement, you could change them up. It has to fit your business, right? It's recommended, though, that you start with the 3 that have been introduced first until you have a solid understanding of how to touch campaigns work, right? So cultivation is the step in the model in which agents find themselves struggling. I'm sure you would all agree, right? You get the lead. If they're not ready now, you all say, okay, now what do I do with this lead, right? That's where you find the struggle. Now, why do you think agents struggle in that cultivation stage? And think about that for a moment. Why do you think that that's why you're struggling? Often, agents struggle during the cultivation because they do not have the right systems in place to continue to follow up with that lead, right? They let the lead slip, and then they get disappointed when they learn that the lead had a transaction with a different agent. And that happens over and over and over again. You shouldn't let the lead slide to someone else. There's no need for it, right? If you stay in touch with them, why would they go to someone else, right? If they're getting value from you, why would they go to another agent? The only reason why they would go to another agent is because you're not giving them the value they need, right? And it really is sad when, especially if you invested a lot of time into someone, right? So don't let it go to waste. Don't let all the time that you spend with one person go to waste just because that deal did not happen right now. All right. 1 to cement and 36 to convert will be the system that you put in place to cultivate your leads until they are ready for that appointment. Shift reminds us that you can't know or predict when someone will come to a decision. But if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, you'll have a great chance of being there when they do, right? You'll have a very good chance of being there when they do come to their decision to whether buy or sell. And that's when you'll be able to close for that appointment, all right? So turn to the close page in your guide if you have it, and you will find more information on types of closes to use when you role play or practice your conversations. And you can use this as a resource after Ignite is well over, all right? So closing is when you ask for that appointment. Think of it in this type of framework. You are concluding one conversation and seeing if there is a new one that can take place, right? So it is your responsibility to ask for that appointment. Don't be shy. You need to ask for it, right? And how can you ask for that appointment? What are some ways? Well, you can ask in a text message. You can ask in an email, you can ask in a phone call, or you can ask in person. Let me ask you, which formats out of these do you think are the strongest? Which are the most effective? And what do you think are the weaker options? And so let's think about that.
Erica said in the chat, phone call as the strongest.
Yes, that phone call, of course, right? Yes. The least effective options are what? The least effective is text messages and emails. That's your least effective. Since you're not communicating together in real time, right, you cannot immediately respond to any issues or questions that they might have, right? Phone calls and in-person options are going to have the best effect on your lead conversion. All right, so pick up that phone. What is the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is they say no, they don't want to work with you, they don't want to make an appointment with you. That's the worst thing, right? Just move on to the next. Don't be shy, pick up that phone. When you are setting the appointment, what are the important elements to schedule, right? First of all, you are not just looking for a yes, right? Yes, you want the appointment, but you're not just looking for a yes as a response to asking for the appointment. As soon as you get the yes, you should immediately schedule the appointment at everyone's earliest convenience, right? Let's not wait a month. Try to get that ASAP. So this means setting the date, the time, and the location, right? And one thing to keep in mind is the location. We will talk about this more in the transaction section when we cover buyer and seller consultations in Ignite. But remember that the location is very, very important, right? Safety comes first. So if you're meeting someone for the very first time, a buyer that is, usually, obviously a seller, you could meet them at their home as long as you feel that you have done enough to know everything you can about the seller. You can even do a Zoom first before going to their home if you'd like. With a buyer, I suggest meeting them at the office or somewhere where there's people around. But you should always meet someone in person or via Zoom before meeting them at any location. All right, and that's for safety. Let's turn to the KW belief system in your guide. And does anyone want to read this quote? Okay, I will read the quote. In the end, if they can meet and have a good enough reason to meet, they will meet. And if they don't, they won't. And that's okay, right? You really don't care what their answer ultimately is because you're not getting people to do anything they don't want to do. You're just going to ask and respond until they agree that meeting with you makes sense or it doesn't. Either way, you both win. Right? This statement about closing for the appointment comes from Shift. Right? And if you, once again, if you haven't read Shift as of yet, you can ask your PC if they have a copy for you. I know I have a few copies for the agents in my program, so please reach out to me and I can give you one. Does anyone have any ahas before we continue? Anyone have any questions before we continue? All right, we're moving pretty quickly here today. Okay, so you learned the model steps and actions to convert a lead to an appointment. We're going to dig deeper into what a conversion rate is and how it can inform your business decisions. Right? So your conversion rate refers to the percentage of leads you ask for an appointment to those that agree to the appointment, right? For example, you may ask 10 leads for an appointment and succeed in setting 8 appointments. So that's 80% conversion rate, right? So your ultimate goal is to increase your skill so you can convert at the highest percentage possible. Right? You want to increase your skills. The higher the percentage, the more leads have converted to appointments. And practice makes perfect, right? If you are converting at a low percentage, this should tell you that you have a lead conversion challenge. The challenge is not the number of leads generated, but your ability to get them to an appointment, right? Sometimes the lead conversion is based on your total number of leads in your database. Sometimes it's based just on the leads that are being cultivated at a current time. What is important is to evaluate your business and what works for you. And then repeat that same measure of success each time you calculate your conversion rate. So at some point today, complete the calculation on the conversion rates page in your guide when you have time. Okay, so next we're going to look at ways to improve your conversion rates. So once you understand what your conversion rate is, and that's why I would like you to do that little conversion rate test today. And once you understand what your conversion rate is, you can move from E to P. All right. And you should all remember this from day one. It's one of Keller Williams' 6 personal perspectives. This is when you get more purposeful in improving your conversion rate. Gaining insight and getting more purposeful will bring you to more closed transactions. Now, some of the activities you can engage to improve your conversion rates might include: 1, what you all should be doing is time blocking for lead conversion, right? All of us should be sticking to our calendar, and you should have time blocking for lead conversion every day should be on your calendar, right? And nothing should get into your lead conversion, your lead generating for that day. So you want to build that bunker around your lead generation, right? Sometimes you may have to tweak the hours that you're lead generating in any given day because sometimes life gets in the way. But when you are lead generating, unless it is a major emergency situation, don't let anyone break into that bunker. Get it done. Just get it done. So the number one thing, time block for lead conversion. 2, use conversations and systems, right? Use your conversations and systems. You have to practice your conversations, your dialogues. You have to ask for that close. You have to ask for that appointment, right? Mastering buyer and seller presentations. Relationship conversations are a powerful tool that can help you say what you intend to say in the most powerful and impactful way, right? So practice those conversations. Use systems that support your lead conversion in your business. Systems make sure you take the right steps at the right time and continue to keep and gain mind share, right? Don't neglect any part of your database. Reconnect with each person. And when you do, also ask for referrals. You have to ask for that referral. All right. Once again, don't feel like, oh, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to ask them for a referral. Most people want to help you. Most people want to. Most people would love to refer someone to you. Right? So please ask for them. Conversion activities are not just for leads, right? They're also for your sphere of influence, right? Your contacts, etc. Come from care, right? And contribution, and get back in a relationship with your past clients. You know, sometimes it happens and we lose touch and we don't, you know, do the things that we are supposed to be doing, but it's never too late. It's never too late to pick up that phone or send an email to one of your past clients. And when you do that, come from care and contribution. Know who to prioritize. All right. Now, in an upcoming session, and the lead follow-up segment, you will learn how to prioritize and your potential clients, right? And converting those qualified leads, and you'll put them all into categories while still working on the rest of your database. And so you're going to learn how to do that. Now, every single lead has the potential to turn into a business. And as you have already heard, there are no bad leads. You have to service every lead that comes your way. Even if it's not immediate business from that lead, or it's for a small amount. If you service that lead correctly, you can get business from that lead. They may not be ready right now, but someone they know may. And if they see the value in you, if they see that, wow, this person actually cares, right? They know that I'm not ready yet, but they want to keep me on top of the market. You're contacting them to stay in touch. They're going to remember you, right? So no lead is a bad lead, because leads can come from whatever you think is a bad lead, right? With the lead conversion model, you have learned, 1, capture the appropriate information so you can connect with the lead. 2, connect to assess their needs and establish a relationship. 3, cultivate the relationship. Not all people will convert directly to an appointment, so use your touch campaigns to stay top of mind. And 4, close by asking for the appointment. Now, you are in control of this, no one else. You are in control of this ask, so you must ask. Does anyone have any ahas, any questions? No one wants to share what you've learned so far? Okay, well, we definitely will be ending this one very quickly today. And as we wrap up this session and transition, I would like to ask you if you feel that you have come to understand the lead conversion model and what you need to be doing. Further develop your system for capturing, cultivating, and closing leads. Know how to apply proven methods to increase your conversion rate. These are the 3 things that you will have to work on. If you work on these 3 items, you will be in production, not just now, but your future. Okay.
We have a question from Wendy.
Go ahead.
It says, I'm running into issues where there's market concern and they want to wait. If I try to keep them on the phone, I get hung up on, and then add them to the smart plan, that gets unsubscribed. A little frustrating.
Okay, now you're definitely going to get many of those, and that's okay. All right, that's why your lead generating has to be constant, and you have to constantly be adding 10 leads to your database every single day, right? Because eventually you're going to have someone who is a true buyer or seller. So we're going to hit a lot of bad apples as you go along, right? But the more that you do, the percentage goes up higher, right? The more people that you are lead generating, the more people that you're following up to, your percentage is just going to go up higher. So don't be discouraged. Do not get discouraged. The only way that you can fail at this is to quit and not do it anymore. And if you do that, then you could say goodbye to real estate. Right? You have to be patient and just keep on going. And I promise you that eventually you're going to get the hang of this. You will be able to convert more leads into business. You just need to have enough leads. Right? Diana, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, hi, Meralda.
Hey, honey.
So I'm running into some issues that I had some active buyers that I was running around with them, showing them property, and now with the interest rates, they are all telling me that they want to wait. So I'm trying to educate myself as much as possible on some creative lending and information that we're getting from our lenders to try to let them know that they do have some options. Do you have any other suggestions for that?
Well, right now, with the interest rates, it's scaring a lot of buyers away, right? We all know that. It's scaring them away. However, you should, educate them on knowing that interest rates eventually are going to come down, and they will. Now, we don't know when they're going to come down, right? We don't have a crystal ball to say, okay, they're going to come down in a month, 2 months, or even this year, right? As a matter of fact, they may go up first. They may still go up. We don't really know that. Right now, we are seeing some promising, from last week to this week, I think we saw some promising issues with unemployment that helps interest rates. So hopefully inflation will come down, and that's what they need to watch. We need to watch too. As inflation comes down, so will the interest rates, right? So hopefully inflation will start to decrease. I think we kind of hit an all-time high on interest rates right now. Inflation rate. I really think we have. We haven't seen inflation this high in how many years? 30 years. So if they do go up the interest rates, it's only going to go up a little bit more. I don't think that we're going to see that 10%. I don't think we're going to get there. And even though that's not even that crazy, but interest rates will go up slightly more, I believe, for the rest of this year. But you can educate your buyers and your sellers. Like for sellers, now's the time to put their home on the market, right? Before interest rates go up any higher, right? Before the buying pool gets smaller, this is the time for them to do it. And for buyers, if we start seeing prices come down, which we really haven't seen yet, but we all know they will. They're going to have to come down, right? Because inflation is so high, we need to see them drop a little because we're going to be at a standstill. No one's going to be purchasing if they don't. So for the rest of this year, we're going to start seeing a little bit of a decrease. Now, we have to watch closely what's going to happen for the first quarter of 2023. I think we're going to see lower prices at that point. But even if the interest rate doesn't drop, it will eventually. So if buyers understand what their options are, right, they can buy down points if they like, if they have the money to do so, to have a lower interest rate, or buy at a lower sales price, which will happen. And then eventually, what can they do? What can they do?
Refinance.
Right, they can refinance because they will come down. It's a roller coaster. It will come down. So once they have that home ownership and they purchase at a better sales price, now all they have to do is wait and watch the market. And as soon as interest rates drop, they refinance. And that's really the conversations you should be having with your clients right now, for those that are on the fence. I hope that helps a little bit, Diana. You're welcome, honey. So any of you, before we go on to the next, I just wanted to ask if any of you have any questions at all as we wrap up today's session at all about converting leads, how to apply the methods.
I have a quick question. Is there a place where we can locate the scripts that we should be practicing?
Well, there are some scripts, I believe, in your participant guide for Ignite, but I
Okay.
can also send you scripts if you'd like. That
Oh,
you
that would be great.
on a daily basis. I can send that to you, Meredith. That's
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's just wrap up today with this. Each day in Ignite, you grow in how you think, feel, and act, right? And implement what you've learned. And from learning and ahas, which we didn't have any today, but that's okay, you move toward achievement in your big life. And that's what we're all here for, right? We're all here to achieve our big goals. So at some point today, I want you to think and reflect. You can write it down in your guide, wherever you want to write it down, how you have grown in each of these areas, in thinking, in feeling, in acting, all right? Taking the time to reflect on what you learned every day is important in building your confidence and celebrating your growth, right? And we do this activity. You should be doing this activity after every Ignite session, after every training session that you take, right? So you can keep track of your learning journey. And so it's important to write that down and reflect on what you've learned. Okay, guys, this was a quick Ignite. It was wonderful that you all joined. It's good to see you. Now, before we go, just a reminder that Wednesday is the next Ignite session at 11 a.m. And the topic is strengthened relationships. And that's going to further your lead follow-up. Okay. Anyone have any questions before we end today's session? All right, everyone, go and have a wonderful day and follow up with those leads. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.